Welcome to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast, a free resource for moms raising young autistic children. I am your host, Dr. Christina Wilson. I created Thriving Moms of Autistics after years of experience working with families and having my own autistic child. I coach moms of young autistics one-on-one to tap into their strengths, create a supportive community, set firm boundaries, and raise their autistic child with confidence. Subscribe to the podcast and check out the earlier episodes so you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get to it.
Hi, moms. Raising a child on the spectrum keeps us really busy. It also adds bumps along our autism journey. It's just natural to experience these shifts in your minds that leaves us feeling discouraged. And our children don't just, check off milestone boxes. That just doesn't happen for us. They keep us on our toes and sometimes revisit old behaviors and challenges. Other times they just keep moving forward. We do check off those boxes, and that's nice. I was just chatting with a friend, and she reminded me of this very thing. The one that I'm talking about. Regression. Yes, regression. And it happens to all of us. There's no getting away from it. And sometimes our child regresses briefly. Other times it sticks around for a bit longer than we had expected or preferred. But nonetheless, it does happen. So let's take a deep breath in for 5. Hold it. Deeply out for 6. Because in this episode, we dive into what to do when regression occurs and how we feel like we aren't always doing enough or maybe have dropped the ball along the way when our child needs us the most. So find the full transcript at thrivingmomsofautistics.com/93. Don't forget to share the podcast with other moms to help them in their autism journey and to further the reach, which can also be done by dropping a review on Apple Podcasts or even subscribing to the Thriving Moms of Autistics YouTube channel. I appreciate you. So when we're climbing the mountains of autism, those mountains impact our well-being as moms and impacts our mindset. We all enjoy those times when things are a bit more settled. We like that. But it's different for all families. Some might feel like the challenges are consistent with very short-lived breaks, while others might experience brief periods of calm until the next challenge. But all of these are true at some point, but they come in seasons, right? So regardless of your experience, we've all felt that we could have handled some situations better than we did, right? There's no getting around. And that leaves us with disappointment, sadness, and sometimes shame. All moms, regardless of their situation, experience this. Autism moms will experience this more given the challenges that they're faced with. And honestly, we could be really hard on ourselves. So what do you do when you're frustrated and you need positive change? How do you make that shift? Now, this isn't going to be a surprise, but when this occurs, you need to create that awareness. It kind of, you're feeling it hard, right? So you're like, well, I'm very aware of that. But what I mean is you already know that something is amiss. And it's really helpful to identify that feeling. For example, you might be feeling angry. You know that you're angry, but what does it mean? Narrow that down. And are you feeling frustrated, annoyed? Put a name to that feeling because it changes a little bit what that means when you do that. Because anger is broad, but what do you mean by angry? Okay. And when you feel frustrated, because we might not have, for example, meaning maybe you haven't handled something as you wish you had. What do we do? Our go to is blame. And that is not good. But that is what we do sometimes. So when we blame others or blame ourselves, we can't move forward. We just can't. And we get stuck. And that's not good for us. And we only have control over ourselves, right? We don't have control over other people, but we can control ourselves. So starting with ourselves is a really good place if you want to move forward. And I'm going to give you 4 steps for moving forward. Okay. So that you can grow as a mom in your autism journey. Now, the first one, and I've already mentioned, is to gain clarity through awareness. Now, you can't skip this one. You have to dive deeper. And that's hard. That's not easy. But you do need to dive deeper and gain that clarity and become more aware of the situation. The second is to be willing to stop blaming yourself. That's hard. Be willing to stop blaming yourself so that you can recognize that that's only going to keep you stuck. Okay. And because, deep down, you want to move forward. You don't want to stay stuck in that ugliness. It's hurtful and it's hard. And you deserve to move forward from it. And a good way to do that is number 3, remind yourself. Okay. Remind yourself that you don't know what you don't know. You just don't. And this may be something entirely new for you. Or maybe it is something you've experienced before, but you're in the process of saying, giving yourself some grace. But oftentimes it's a new situation and you don't know what you don't know. And you're not perfect. I am not perfect. None of us are perfect. And we'll probably make the same mistakes more than once. And that's totally human. So keep that in mind. And the 4th is your action step. It is deciding to learn from it instead of staying in it. So don't stay in it, learn from it. That is what you need to move forward. And use that lesson in the future because you know what? You might find yourself here again. Like I said, show yourself some grace and it happens. But use that lesson. Don't stay in it as long. Okay? Use the lesson, move forward, and keep going because you'll continuously get stronger in the process. Also, remember that you control your thoughts and your feelings. Okay? You control those things. And I know it's hard because we feel so out of control at times. I know it. I'm there, for times. I get it. Been there and will be there again. It's hard. Now, exploring and owning your thoughts and feelings can be scary, but you can do this, and you are not alone in them. You're not. Also, don't underestimate your power of learning. You do have the power of learning lessons along the way so that you can recognize your own resilience and can be empowered as you grow your mindset, and overcome the obstacles along the way. You have that power. And remember, we are lifelong learners. And I hope this helped. And I look forward to our time again next week.
Thanks for listening to Thriving Moms of Autistics podcast. Be sure to leave a review and tell other moms of autistics about the podcast. Let's support each other. Find the full transcript for this episode at thrivingmomsofautistics.com. And be assured, you are not alone in your journey.